Welcome to the recap of the match between mousesports and Fnatic on cash of the ESL Pro League Season 4. Fnatic started on the T side and their A push got immediately shut down by the newly acquired Oscar. Mouse held off the attackers on the following force buy and eco and got up to a quick 3-0 lead. In the first buy vs buy round, the Germans played a mid-heavy setup and the sole Fnatic player pushing into the smoked off area went down without reward. One man down, the ensuing A push by the Swedes wasn't clean enough and Mouse were able to retake 3 vs 2 without further losses and defuse the bomb. With the loss bonus building and the help of the plant, Fnatic were able to buy. However, Mouse got the better start into the round as Oscar found Olofmeister in Sunroom. The Swedes turned once again to A, where they found a frag to equalize to a 4 vs 4. The attackers seemed a bit undecisive, but ultimately ended up on the A side once again, and Nico put in extra work with a 3k, went and answered with 2 and was able to plant the bomb, but Mouse were too close to let the round slip away. 5-0 down and the bomb plant allowed Fnatic and AWP facing off against Oscar's own one. Mouse played a relatively default setup until Nico decided to push into vents and get the pick on the player in Sunroom. While this gave them a one-man advantage, the Swedes quickly realized that this meant an empty mid and immediately took control. The saving grace for the German squad was Dennis inside the A side, who traded 2 for 1 and allowed his team to deny Fnatic the round with some very well placed molotovs, forcing the attackers in the open. The Swedes finally were forced into only buying some pistols and cavalry, seeing as they hadn't planted the bomb. Mouse favored some B aggression with 3 players, whereas Fnatic once again leaned towards A, which obviously had a weaker defense as the Germans were occupied with B. Who can call it defense weak though if Nico is in the area? And he mopped the floor with the Swedish squad with a sublime 4k hold, Oscar chiming in with 1 frag. Mouse's streak of 7 rounds would end soon though, as the early pick by Oscar from B got quickly nullified by Fnatic's takeover in mid. The aforementioned player had a huge chance to turn around as he surprised Fnatic by being pushed up into Sunroom, but was only able to get one of the Swedish players coming out of checkers, and the resulting 3 vs 3 afterplant was well defended by Fnatic. Even though the German squad had a big string of rounds, their money was depleted after investing into a double AWP setup in the 9th round. Olofmeister had a big green gun of his own, allowing him to pick off Nico in mid. This was quickly equalized as Oscar was aggressively pushed up at long A, leaving the teams facing each other 4 vs 4. Mouse decided to take action and pushed out the B side with some decent flashes. A back and forth of frags from highway and outside B resulted in a 2 vs 2. The Swedes lost control of the bomb for a short time, but were able to retrieve it with a smoke. Olofmeister caught Dennis on the rotate, and Chris J would also fall to him in his attempted retake, completing the 4k of the Swedish star. Fnatic had no issues in converting the following anti-eco. Round number 11 saw Mouse back on a buy, this time however without an AWP and limited utility. The Germans made slight changes to the setup, with 2 players playing close in mid, leaving Chris J alone on B. The risk was immediately punished by Fnatic as Olof got the pick onto B and the round fell apart for Mouse, meaning another eco round for them that carried no surprises. Fnatic had strung together 5 rounds, now only being behind 2 to the defending team, who could afford the double AWP setup this round, which was rewarded as Chris J was able to pick off Olof in Sunroom once again. The Swedes answered back though, taking mid control and went and ripped a hole into the defense with a swift 3k, nullifying any frags Mouse were able to steal away. Chris J missed a crucial shot on the previously mentioned player, which might have allowed his team the round win. This way, however, Fnatic had no problem defending the bomb 2 vs 2, and another eco round made the Swedes equalize, entering the 7-round streak with 7 of their own. The last round of the half started terrible for Mouse, as their aggression in mid and A main granted the attackers an early 2-man advantage that never allowed the Germans away into the round, resulting in, considering the early round streak by Mouse, surprising 8-7 half win for Fnatic. The Germans opted for a simple B push on the pistol round, overwhelming the lackluster initial B hold by Fnatic. Twist was able to escape alive though and rotated to vents, making Mouse sweat.
First kill for Fnatic, and it comes so late in the round. He's got a second to work with, and he's about to body against Dennis because he's in the vent, not below it. Crosshair placement off. Twist, what a shot on the way through though. Trades it back, and he's got this to a one-on-one. Him versus Nico. 2 accurate players at Nico. He's got the damage in, and he's going to land the shot, just barely.
As Nico eventually secured the very important round, his team was able to gain the lead again, converting both rounds against the weaker equipment of their opponents, even though the second round was very shaky. In the first buy round of the half, Fnatic immediately picked up 2 AWPs. Both teams decided on a default approach to the round, that ended with Mouse executing onto the A side. However, the Molotov stayed unused and allowed Dennis to stop the push from quad, and his teammates cleared up the rest of the desperate Germans. Mouse bought whatever the money allowed them and had a try at a simple B push, which was severely lacking. Olofmeister got a pick for free on Speedy, setting up a smoke, the German squad completely ignoring the possibility of the Swedes being in checkers. The whole round of the attackers fell apart as they got decimated on their disjointed B push. This allowed Fnatic to once again take the lead in the following eco of Mouse. As much as the German squad made a mistake in their last buy round, Fnatic should throw away a round that was theirs as well. While Mouse was setting up for their A execute, the defenders pushed B and had all the information that an A take was coming. The Swedes tried to take over main with only a single player and a bad flash, a welcome present for Mouse giving them the advantage. Even though the defenders had all the information and were present on A, their hold fell apart and the 4 vs 2 afterplant that was defended made the throw perfect. Neck and neck at 11 rounds each, either team had a weak economy, meaning a crucial round and Mouse would make a plunder again. After a passive hold from each squad, the attackers tried another P execute. A chain of bad decisions allowed Olaf and Dennis to decimate the push. Mouse left themselves way too little time and their passive stance meant that there were still smokes in play, forcing them to run through blindly, and if that hadn't been bad enough, the bomb was dropped too far back, forcing one player to go back, making the dime even more tight. The resulting wins against an eco and a semi-buy put the Swedes back into the lead at 14-11. Round 25 finally saw the Germans back on a buy. Olofmeister once again tried an aggressive B play, this time however he got punished. Combined with the worst timing by Dennis on A meant a 2-man advantage for Mouse and Fnatic had no more say in the round, being happy to save 2 guns. The Swedes were right back on a buy though and had to concede mid to the Germans as they showed some early control in the area. Not much would come of it though, as Mouse didn't find a way to utilize their map control and the simple A push was decimated, especially since Wenton was boosted, leaving no chances for the attackers. Facing off against their opponents on match point, Mouse spent their last money and finally pulled off a round that seemed to have purpose from the beginning to the end. They threw a splendid A fake, causing just enough of a rotate of the defending players that allowed the Germans to overwhelm Olofmeister in B and the ensuing plant was defended. Fnatic had to spend their last money and pressure started to mount. Mouse opted for another push through a main and the Swedish default setup held off the initial push and put the Germans into desperate 2 vs 4 situation. Speedy and Oscar were not done yet though.
Just 2 men remaining for mousesports. It might be enough, but Oscar, he's pushed back through Tech 9. A smoke was thrown. That would have covered off Highway, covered off Lecro, and secured the plant, but now he's just going to have to go for it blindly. Thankfully, though, Speedy's actually got the shot on Olaf, so it is just Lecro. It looked like they'd done so much with Twist taking heads off on the way through, but now they've got the secure crossfire established and they peak together. It's 15-14. Fnatic with the glass cannon by are going to have very, very little money to work with.
Overtime was in the air as the Swedes were left on a force buy with pistols and armor, facing off against the fully equipped Mouse. Olofmeister wasn't done with his shenanigans on B though, and what ensued would cause disaster for Mouse.
The door starts to open, there it is. He gets an M4 in his hand, he's going aggressive towards mid as well. This could be a perfect call for him, he's going to find them in the back. Lined up for him, he gets 1, he gets 2! 4 vs 2 now, and the pistols seem to be prevailing for Fnatic. Nico, the last player remaining, but he still has potential to win this one. Gets the kill on towards Wenton, and has managed to pick up the bomb, but 10 seconds remain. He has to cross to the bomb side, but Lecro's allowed it.
He's gonna smoke. Please, get 1. He's got time to plant. 6 seconds. He's pulled this back, has Nico. It's just one of those rounds, though, from Olaf, isn't it? It's the exact moment when you expect the former world best, potentially still the world best, going up against another man who has been touted as the world best. It's a one-on-one between Nico, who's trying to save the round. 3 kills for either of them so far. Exposed in the smoke, and Olaf's done it. Started with pistols, and the timing was perfect.
Mouse had many opportunities to win the match, but whenever their initial plan failed, a collapse was immediate. This combined with the better individual performance of Fnatic, mainly by Wenton, Olofmeister and Dennis, only met by Nico, swung the tight game into the Swedes' favor. Thank you for watching CS Recap.